On deck today for testing is the Hornady Critical Duty 40 caliber 175 grain load. For those of you that haven't seen my previous Critical Duty tests, I will go ahead and put links in the video here for you. But basically, Critical Duty was designed to pass the FBI's tests. As many of you know, the Hornady Critical Defense line has been out for a while. Those tend to be a little bit lighter weight bullets and had trouble in some of the barrier tests that the FBI conducts. But this bullet, just going over the construction of it real quick, has a wider hollow point than your standard critical defense load. It also has the interlock band around the base of the bullet, and what that does is it prevents the jacket from separating from the core under impact. Also, speaking of the core, it has a heavier lead in the core to allow for better penetration through barriers. The case here, as you see, is crimped to prevent bullet setback when you're rechambering your load. That said, I do not recommend rechambering loads, any kind of duty load, because the bullet setback could cause potential issues, even with that crimped case. And the case itself is nickel plated for easier identification in low light conditions. Of note, the primer is also sealed. But let's check out the gun that we're using it in, run it in the chronograph test, and then see how it does in the gel. And the gun used for the 40 caliber test will be the Glock 22C, full length barrel, but it is compensated. Get into it next. I'll get an overhead close up here in a second so you guys can get a better look at the wound track, but moving along, it opened up right there at about the 1-inch mark, had a decent sized permanent wound cavity, settled down right around the 8-inch mark, went through the first block, into the second block, and it's resting, the forward edge is right at 18.5 inches. Here you see the overhead angle, just moving down, and see it settles down right there on the 7 or 8-inch mark, and comes to rest right there at what is the 18.5-inch mark. We'll pull it out next. I recovered it from the gel block, and the retained weight is 11.2 grams, which equates to 174 grains. It's a little tough to see with my manual gauge here, but average expansion is coming in right at 0.55 inches. As you guys just saw there, we were getting an average of 951 feet per second, which equates to 351 foot-pounds of energy out of that Glock 22 compensated model. Now, the compensated model, generally you're going to lose somewhere between 3 and 5% of your velocity due to the compensated ports in the barrel. That said, that's still coming in well under the advertised velocity of this round, and that is a full-size gun, the Glock 22. So definitely more loss in velocity than you'd like to see, but that's consistent across the Critical Duty rounds I've tested so far and other tests I've seen on the internet as well. So seems to be that Hornady loads these at low velocities intentionally, perhaps to get better penetration. I'm really not sure on that, but what that low velocity does is it also contributes to a relatively low expansion rate and greater penetration. Now, we had 18.5 inches of penetration in the shot I showed you guys on camera. I tested that 3 more times off camera to see how it would do, and basically everything was between 16 inches and 18 inches, so consistent there with other tests I've seen as well. The flex lock band acted just as it's designed to do. The jacket did not separate from the lead core, and had good penetration and very consistent expansion all the way around. If you guys are comfortable with the level of expansion sort of on the high end for this round versus other 40 caliber rounds out there, definitely one you want to look at. The recoil is very light due to that light velocity that they're loading it at, and like I said, consistent penetration throughout. If you guys have any questions about this round, anything else I test here on the channel, please feel free to go ahead and post below in the comment section. You can also post over at my Facebook page. But as always, guys, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and I hope to see you in the next video.